Happy Monday to everyone. I am Vaughn Wilson from HBCU Game Day, and we have a show for you. If you're a Rattler fan, or even if you're not a Rattler fan, an HBCU fan, to find out what is going on with the defending HBCU national champions, the Florida A&M Rattlers, under head coach James Colzie III. Now, Colzie took over after a search at Florida A&M after the departure of head coach Willie Simmons, who is now the running backs coach at Duke University. Colzie was on the staff for 2 years, and now he is the head Rattler. Let's look back at when we introduced head coach James Colzie.
First off, congratulations. So many people from Florida State who are my friends have texted me. Chuck Walsh told me to particularly tell you congratulations. But I think there's going to be grand support for you in Tallahassee. How does that make you feel on your first opportunity as a head coach?
Well, excited, right? I mean, I got friends at both sides now, right? And I think that's maybe very rare in a lot of occasions. But I can't. It's been support across the board. I can't tell you how many phone calls and text messages, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm extremely happy to be the head football coach at Florida A&M.
Well, it did make me feel some kind of way to be the only media agency called out during your actual speech. I mean, that was something else. But Coach, you got a great opportunity here. A great team returning, a great situation where you've got the support to possibly continue to build on the FAMU franchise. You name the coaches, and you know what the expectations here. That it's always great to hear that list of coaches, and now your name is on that list.
Well, excuse me. I again, blessed, excited. I said those names for a reason. So hopefully, if I can at least, maybe mimic a couple of the things that they did, then that means I've had a successful career here. But again, the standard is a standard. They did things the right way. They did it with class. They pushed their guys as I'm going to do our guys here. They had great players and they had great coaches surrounding them. So if I can do that, that means I'm going to be in good shape.
All right, Coach, we're going to get Josh to change that headshot for you.
Please.
But anyway, talk about players that you have and retaining coaches. I know that's the kind of thing that is first priority. And then also there's the getting ready for the spring. What is your first priority like right now when you lead this press conference?
Well, I'm going to meet with our staff, right? We got to sew up our last week of the recruiting class. I'm heading to Kansas. I'm going to head to Kansas City, and I'm going to go recruit, the junior colleges in the Jayhawk Conference. So, I think, the way recruiting is now, you don't have to necessarily make any more big splashes during signing day, right? We made our splashes in December. We'll ID some guys, for this upcoming recruiting class, and then we'll hit some other guys in the portal once we get to our spring game, once we get to April and May. So I don't want to take the wrong person. I want to take the people that we feel can help us, which is what we've done over the last 2 years. So we got some options, but as a staff, we'll talk about that today. Now, as far as the positions and things like nature, yes, we lost some really, really good coaches. We'll have another transparent conversation with the staff as well, just about where guys are headed, what my goal is, and things of that nature. So I got to bring some people back on that I really, really trust. That's going to be ultimate for me. If I can trust you, then I'm going to make sure that you're a part of my staff.
All right, Coach. Good luck from those in HBCU land. In the comments, even some Jackson State people said, welcome. We'll see you at the vet. But everything's been pretty much overwhelming in the HBCU realm that you are the right guy to take over the position as the 19th head coach of Florida A&M University.
Thank you very, very much for your time, and I appreciate that.
All right, Colzie settled in and is guiding the Rattlers, and they went through spring practice. They weren't able to get all 15 games in. The weather did not permit that, but the team continued to work hard. And 2 days ago, on Saturday, at Ken Riley Field at Bragg Memorial Stadium, the team went through the orange and green game. Let's take a look over at Bragg Stadium and see what was up with the Rattlers on Saturday.
It's a nice pickoff. Nice pass, touchdown, Rattler. About a 25-yard throw from Jimmy, Florida. That's an interception. Raven leader on that one for a touchdown. Nice pass. Touchdown.
Now, the game actually was a relief. You know, the uncertainty of how the team might possibly look with all the transfer portal talk, with the departure of several coaches and new offensive and defensive coordinators. But to those that were there, it was actually a pleasing affair. You saw some talented kids. You saw the core of a great team, several offensive weapons, several defensive backs really stepped up, which was a key. And the defensive back room may even be stronger than it was last year and possibly in years past. But I want to bring in someone to help me talk about this, and we're going to bring in our friend Keith Hadley from the Fangs Up podcast, and we'll talk about what we saw at the spring. So, Keith, how's it going with you today, man?
Man, it's great. It's great, man. Fun time we had on Saturday, didn't we?
Yeah, couple days removed from the orange and green game, the much anticipated, under new head coach James Colzie III after replacing head coach Willie Simmons. It was quite anxious. The environment in the stadium was a little anxious. But give me your evaluation of what you saw on Saturday.
What I saw, I was pleased with, considering it's a spring game. Only thing I definitely didn't like, I didn't like all the fans sitting on the east side. I would have rather they sat on the west side in the shade, but I felt like some of what I felt coming into the game, especially regarding the quarterback, was proven. I figured it was going to be Junior Meritovic's job to lose, and we saw that. We saw where I felt like the closest competition was probably DJ Boney. I didn't think Richardson was quite as close as some others thought, just because I felt like Boney showed us a little bit of mobility. I love the running back room. We saw what Gerald Thomas hinted at the loss of weight that Yant had, and you saw it. I mean, you saw it last year. He had games where he run the ball 3 times. He was dead, and I didn't see that as much. But we also saw Levante Somerset. He made some big plays. That was a big recruit coming out of high school. And then receiver wise, look, that wasn't a bad move from quarterback to receiver that we saw. And you got a nice little combination with Gassett there too.
To me, the biggest surprise was Ja'Cory at receiver. We know he's fast. He showed his leaping ability and great hands and mobility. I think Ja'Cory Jordan at wide receiver was the biggest takeaway from the spring game, and you are exactly right. I felt the same thing. He's natural. He's an athlete. Most quarterbacks normally in high school, the quarterback is the best athlete. They make him the quarterback. And Ja'Cory, with his length, my goodness, he looked really, really natural.
Yeah, he looked natural. And then the secondary, I mean, especially I saw a lot more bump and run than I've seen in a while. I mean, Colzie coached it. He played at Florida State and got a little bit of that Mickey Andrews in that defense. The secondary was they were playing no games. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they'd be good, but those corners look really aggressive and they got some picks too. So, we saw what the Alabama State defense was. We got a secondaries coach from there. Is that something that we're going to continue to see at FAMU with their aggression, the success? And they were probably the second best. So you're getting the 2 best defensive minds from the SWAC together. This team's going to be some fun.
I think I agree with you. The defensive backs definitely made great impressions at the spring game. It wasn't surprising, just like you say, the head coach is a former defensive back. So, they normally concentrate on their position, but he has to coach the whole team. And bringing in what I did here was the quarterbacks were really, really happy with the new quarterbacks coach, that they feel he's going to develop them. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take some development of our quarterbacks to get them. Face it, FAMU's style of football does not require a quarterback to win the game himself. He has to be a distributor of the ball. Don't lose the game. Get the ball in the hands of your weapons. It was great seeing Kelvin Dean, Yant, Jamari, Gassett. It really looked like what Colzie said after the game was he's really excited about the guys he has coming back. He addressed the issue of the portal and the possible guys he's got going. But to be honest, he actually addressed that before those guys left. When Gentle Hunt hinted that he was going into the portal, he got aggressive, and there are some defensive linemen coming in. And, who knows what today brings? Today brings the reopening of the transfer portal. Who knows what happens then? But that's also a two-way street. A lot of other schools have had their spring games, and you got guys that are available. So Coach Colzie's concentrating on the guys he has coming back, and coming back is a great core of a team.
Really good, and especially look, I know I was on Willie's poop list about getting on him about the tight ends. Oh, FAMU's got tight ends. They look good, didn't they?
FAMU's got a tight end room. FAMU, between Pruitt and Gross, and you still got another guy coming in from Pitt. The tight ends room, and to be honest, FAMU probably uses the tight end more than any other school in HBCU football. A lot of teams have gone all the way away from tight ends, and you're right. FAMU uses that as a weapon, and FAMU's got a great crew in the tight end room.
Yes, and some were used at H-back too. Like you're gonna see a lot. I mean, what was that number 40? I believe he's a freshman. That kid was really used more like a fullback than a tight end. So I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, I'm seeing a little old school ball from Colzie. So I'm thinking, yeah, he's still going to sling that ball around, but I really expect him to lean into this run game. Is going to be something special this year.
And then something I was very, very surprised at in special teams. Okay, we know Trey Will Hoyt is the punter. We know Mike Smith can kick it deep, so the kickoffs. But field goal kicking, Cameron is a great kicker. But the guy that transferred in from Florida State, that ball explodes off of his foot. So I expect as good as Gillis was last year, I expect some serious competition at kicker, at place kicker. And that is a great problem to have when you are a team.
Especially if you can get the ball deep. I mean, we've seen how pretty much you kick it in the end zone, it's not coming out. That shortens the field, but can you get that kicker who's got that little? And you played the position. Can you get that kicker that can be aggravating enough to get that ball and have it land inside the 5-yard line, where the kick returner now has to make a decision of, all right, am I going to take it out? Am I going to just lose yardage? Like, it's going to be some of that chess match, and I'm wondering what Dr. Coles is going to give us. You know, he's working on that PhD, so we're going to see what Dr. Coles is going to give us.
Yeah. So between now and the fall, what do you expect to see from the Rattler football team?
Between now and the fall, I'm looking for probably another guy to come in at quarterback. I feel like Junior showed a lot of progression, a lot of growth from last year, where he had his moments where you could see where Willie was still holding the reins. You could see he did a lot better job as far as his progression. I'm looking for that. Also, defensive line. How many of those guys are leaving? How many of those guys are staying? I think you're going to get another interior rusher and probably another edge rusher. And I'm wondering if one of those tight ends, I believe the guy that transferred from Central Michigan, he was listed as a tight end and a defensive end. Will one of those guys play both those positions? And lastly, we're gonna get one more linebacker. Just wondering, because we saw what Isaiah Major was. You lost that.
Right.
Chaney's in the portal. Is he coming back? So I expect to see some of that, and just kind of that other part of the administrative side of Colzie, because he's starting to show up as that recruiter as well as the head coach. I think we're going to see some more of that, and I think you're going to get one more big fish in the recruiting. Just that's my personal feeling. I got no information. That's reckless speculation, but I think you'll get one more big fish that's going to make you say, "Oh, okay."
Well, I heard some speculation, wide speculation, that a big defensive lineman is coming to the fold, a big name. So we'll wait and see to make sure that happens, and that'll help shore up that defensive line, which we don't know. Like we say, the portal opens today. We don't know, but the good thing is Coach Colzie acts like he really doesn't care. Who's with us is with us. We want who wants to be here, and he'll surround those kids with other people to make the Rattlers as good as possible to go out and defend this title.
I agree. It's going to be some fun, and we're going to see some trash talk. It's going to, you know how we are. We brag different.
Yeah. Well, I heard somebody say yesterday their response to anybody talking about FAMU players entering the transfer portal is, that's because nobody wants the player that's on your team. Every team that's worked their assault, their players are being targeted. So if they don't target your team, that means your players are not worth coming to the school. So we'll see how that plays out. You know how we do at HBCUs. Keith Hadley, thank you. Fangs Up Podcast. Thanks for joining us in our coverage wrapping up the spring. And we'll be back with more from HBCU Game Day's coverage of the FAMU spring session.
You are watching HBCU Game Day.
All right, once again, thanks to Keith Hadley for joining us here on this episode. FAMU Spring Football, the national champions, reigning national champions. They just got their SWAC championship ring in an elaborate ceremony, very nice ceremony last week on Friday, put on by VP and Athletic Director Tiffany Dawn Sykes, and they'll have a separate celebration for the Celebration Bowl in the national championship. At first, I was kind of skeptical, why are we having two celebrations? But it does make sense. You can't take for granted winning a SWAC championship. That's a feat in itself. And then to go on and win the national championship, that was a whole different game, different environment. So We'll await the national championship rings to come in. The SWAC championship rings are beautiful. And so all Rattler fans should be proud of the support that was put in to help supply those. And AD Sykes gets a nod on a great ceremony on Friday night to honor those young men for winning FAMU's first ever SWAC championship. And now let's hear from the head coach, James Colzie. After the spring game, Colzie took some time with the media and explained his thoughts on the day. All right, Coach, just give us all an overview of the game and the spring practice.
Well, you know, I will say this. You know, we continue to do what we've done throughout spring. We had an opportunity to work on some situations, but at the same time, you know, I wanted to make sure we didn't get as injured as maybe some other places would. So, did a great job of protecting our offensive line. Did a really, really good job of protecting our defensive line. But we also got a chance to look at our quarterbacks, our receivers, and our running backs in space. You know, while I was on the field and watching Richardson and Junior throw the ball to Jeremiah Pruitt and Kobe Gross and Jamari Gassett and Yant and Dean and et cetera, offensively, if we're lining up and snapping the ball on time, we can be a really, really, really good offense. Now, and obviously, we've been a really, really good offense since I've been here. But I think we got a lot of weapons, and then obviously the guys that we're adding to our offense makes us equally dangerous. Now, defensively, you know, we got some guys that, you know, obviously that are in the portal right now, and obviously we're doing some recruiting defensively to make sure that if we do lose guys in the portal. So, you know, we gave up 3 touchdowns today, and that's not the standard that the defense have set. So, you know, we did some good things turnover-wise, but I didn't think we played as fast as we normally have played on the defensive side. So, offensively, extremely happy with what Coach Henry's doing. Defensively, you know, we got to make sure we show up some things personnel-wise to make sure we are where we need to be once we start the season.
Coach, your first spring game, give us a sense of what it is as the head coach. Talk a little bit about just being in that position and knowing that the outcome is what you got to deal with.
Well, you know, it's part of it, right? You know, I obviously, you know, you got cameras following you. You know, you're doing these type of interviews, and again, that comes with the position. And I'm definitely used to it and ready for it, right? So the pressure is not just on the quarterbacks or the defense. You know, the pressure is on myself as well, and you know, and I'm used to it, right? So, but you know, I liked how we finished, right? I liked how we finished. We did a really, really good job improving in certain things, but after the spring, you get a chance to assess and evaluate where you are, and we'll do that starting Monday.
How you handling that the target is on A&M back?
Well, I'm when you're the reigning national champions, that's where it's supposed to be, right? So, you know, the last 2 years as an assistant and assistant head coach, you know, we knew that we were going to get the best from every single team that we played. So what's going to change this year? Nothing. We're going to get the best from every single team that we played. The target is now you're not just beating FAMU, but you're beating the reigning national champions. So our guys know that. We've got a really, really veteran group. You know, with the veteran group of our offensive line, those guys understand the pressure that we're under. I'm extremely happy to have those guys on our football team. I'm glad I don't have to go against those guys every day, right? I'm glad I'm not the team that has to go against them, you know, every week. So, but, you know, we understand the pressure. We understand that the targets are on our back, and, you know, believe it or not, we'll still be ready to play one way or the other.
Coach, I got a chance to ask Kelvin Dean and Kendall Bowling. I said, how's been that transition as with Coach Colzie as the head coach? Kendall Bowling said you're more strict. He said you don't play the radio with him. You're late for a meeting, you're out. But can you reflect on your first spring? I know y'all didn't get to do the full 15 practices because of the weather, but how was that first spring really jumping in and being that head football coach here at Florida A&M?
Well, you know, obviously, this being my second opportunity being a head coach, you know, I'm actually learning some things from what I did as a first-time head coach, right? So, you know, there's just certain things that, you know, we need. And, you know, and I'm asking the coaches more as opposed to my way. You know what I mean? Hey, Coach Henry, what do you need this week? Or what do you need today? Coach Patterson, what do you need today, right? I'm asking more from our coordinators and asking them what they need so I can help them along as they go through spring practice, right? Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, the practices and how we finish and what we've shown on the field, yes, it's on my shoulders, but being able to talk to the guys as a head coach is a heck of a lot different than talking to them as the defensive back coach. And Kendall Bowling is right. Yeah, I'm a little bit different as the head coach and I am as a DB coach, but, you know, I guess that's because of the pay scale that I'm under right now.
You're working on your staff. You're putting together a playbook. You're dealing with the portal. How are you working with handling those moving parts? And where are you in terms of your expectation of having it all settled down before the start of fall practice?
Well, believe it or not, I'm extremely happy to say and show that we're fully staffed now. And being able to say that means that a lot of the things that I might have been doing over the last week or two are now going to end. You know what I mean? I get a chance to now do a little bit more football than maybe some of the operational things that I was doing at that time. So, again, it's part of it, but it's part of the transition. It's part of the changeover that we've had as a staff. But if I sit up here and dwell on it, that means I'm not getting the work done, right? So if I'm not getting the work done, my players suffer. If my players are suffering, my team is suffering. If my team is suffering, the university is suffering. So I can assure you this: Jackson State is not worried about me not having all the necessary pieces that I had 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was time for me to go to work. We had to do it. We had people wearing different hats, and I wasn't the only one wearing different hats, right? So, but nobody's going to feel sorry for me. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. Believe me, I understand that. So, hey, we had work to get done. We got our practices in. We got our spring game in. Now, portal opens up. We'll continue to do the recruiting that we've been doing. And now we got to bring some of the missing pieces that we need to make sure that we are, the true reigning national champions and ready to compete once the season starts.
And Coach,
is this your dream job?
It's pretty high up there. You know what I mean? And not a lot of people know I got a chance to spend some time with Rudy Hubbard this morning, and the connection that my family has with him. Believe it or not, people have asked me how long will I be here, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be up to how long FAMU wants me here. That's how I see it. This is, believe it or not, this is one of the top jobs for me in the country. I love coming to work every single day. I love being around the people that I get a chance to see every single day. The amount of text messages, the amount of calls that I receive as the head football coach, it does become a little bit overwhelming, but it's also part of the job, and I understand it, and I'm excited to be able to come in here every single day. Have y'all seen my parking spot that I have when I come in here? No. Man, believe it, that means somebody likes me just a little bit to allow me to be where I'm at. So again, the people have been great. People are wonderful, but I also understand there are expectations with this position, and the expectations are to win. Right? The expectations are to win, make sure the product is great on the field, make sure we're graduating our players, and making sure that those guys are properly representing this university all the time.
Coach, you just talked about a critical time. Right now is coming down the stretch of the spring semester. What are you doing to encourage guys to make sure they handle what they need to off the field, in the classroom, to make sure that it's a smooth transition to have as many players as you can in the summer to get us jumping?
Well, what's being over with right now, obviously school is important. We're going to still be lifting next week, the next 2 weeks, but final exams. Now, hey, we actually have coaches right now in study hall throughout the week. So I'm actually one of the coaches that handles study hall just to make sure our guys are doing what they need to do and making sure Carrie can do the job that she needs to do, right? So we're trying to eliminate some of the past issues that may come across as far as academically. But, hey, they understand it. We understand it. Proper communication with them. We'll have our end of the spring meetings just to let them know where they stand and how we see them, and again, communication with them, letting them know what we want and what they want, and that's where we're at over the next 2 weeks.
Coach, what keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? I guess just understanding that this job is a highly profile job. Understanding that if you got a chance to see the ring that we received last night, it'll show you how much support that we have from the university, right? So as a champion, you wake up like that every single day, right? And the only people that are going to make us not champions are going to be us. Right, and that's what it is. This is my 4th time winning a national championship. I'd love to make it 5 this year. So that's what we're striving for. And if you see the guys that we have on the field, they're really, really good. We got really, really good players, but we got to be able to put it together. We do have some holes that we have to fill, and we got a really, really good schedule. So those are the things for me that keep me motivated. Great job, great opportunity, great players, great people that I'm surrounded by every single day, and then again, opportunity to be the 19th head football coach here at Florida A&M.
You say you spoke to Coach Hubbard.
Yes.
What do you think about his accomplishment, knowing that Florida A&M is the only team that the national championship on the bigger level?
Well, we had our function this morning, right? And I asked him to join me, and not necessarily knowing some of the things that he told me. I actually learned a lot more than what I already knew from Coach Hubbard, right? So, but he stands on the same principles. Make sure guys are working hard and playing hard and being disciplined. Some of the same things that a lot of good coaches have, those same principles, and you can tell why he had so much success here. So, great to hear from him. He was one of our honorary coaches that we had today, and it's always great to see a guy that's in the Hall of Fame, that's had success here. And now obviously I had an uncle that played at Ohio State, so he knew my uncle. I think he helped recruit my uncle. So there was a lot of moving parts once I got a chance to see him. And believe it or not, him and I, we actually communicate once or twice a week. So so those are all things. Hey, Coach Hubbard is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. But believe it or not, when you talk to him, he wants you to treat him just like you would as a regular person. So and I'm really, really humbled to be able to talk to him like that.
Coach, just for clarification, you had one offense, one defense. Talk about going that way versus how it had been in the past.
Well, I think it's iron sharpens iron for me, right? I wanted to see how Jalen Goss would go against, Tyrese Gibson battles. I wanted to see how Shamari Gassett would go against Kendall Bowling, right? So, just give us an opportunity to compete, and we did it in spots, right? But, as we get later on in the year, I might tail off from doing that one, doing the ones versus twos, but it's a spring game. Right, I want to see the ones go against the ones, right? We're gonna have, when we play Norfolk State, we're not gonna go against their twos, we're not gonna go against their threes, right? So I just wanted to see how we would react against each other with our ones versus the ones.
Coach, on Monday, the NCAA transfer portal reopened.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and and I know FAMU has been impacted by the portal. Players leave, but FAMU gains a lot from the NCAA transfer portal. What is your approach to that, and what are some needs that you're maybe going to go after? Just to give us a little bit that we can do.
Well, we're definitely going to take a look at the defensive line. Obviously, that's the position that has hurt us the most with guys that are in the portal. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword with that because, while our guys are in the portal, we also have those same guys asking us, okay, Coach, if I come back, is there still room for me, right? So, for us, portal-wise, we'll assess, we'll look at them. We have guys reaching out to us that, we'll have a bunch of guys reaching out to us on Monday. We'll reach out to guys as well. We'll check interest. So, if we are chaotic, then it becomes a chaotic process. Well, we don't want that. We have certain ideas of what we want our guys to look like, certain positions of what we want them to play. So we'll kind of hone in on what we really, really want, and then ID those guys. And once we ID those guys, then it's time to get them on visits. And believe it or not, once we get them in Tallahassee, the job is done. We can get them to Tallahassee and then take them where we need to take them to certain places on this town and let them watch how much of a college town this is, get them around our fans and get them around our alumni. A lot of time, the case is pretty much closed. We got 8 guys that are up here this weekend. It looks like all 8 of those guys are going to be guys that ultimately going to ultimately pick the Rattlers, right? So if we can continue to do that, we got another 6 to 8 guys that we need from those other positions. We should be in good shape.
Was there? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I know a hot question right now is everybody want to know your assessment of the quarterbacks. How you feeling coming out of the spring game? Well,
I told you 3 weeks ago I wasn't gonna make any decisions, and that has not changed. I thought Junior and Daniel did a really, really good job in the spring. If we had to say who was going to be the quarterback on the first play of the game against Norfolk State, I can tell you this right now, we'd probably come out with 2 quarterbacks on the field, right? And we would do all that just to mess with the media. You know what I mean? But ultimately, those 2 guys did a really, really good job. We're not going to make any decisions. You know what I mean? For not because of those 2 guys didn't necessarily separate themselves, but I think both guys did well. If you saw today, Junior made some really, really good passes. Daniel made some really, really good passes as well. So I think we can wait and see who that quarterback would be as we kind of navigate through the summer.
One more question for me. Defense. I know it's a defense. I know you caught a few interceptions during the spring.
Yeah, I'm good though. You can't really compare the other guys.
And it seemed like it rolled off on your DBs a little bit. I saw them get their head in and get some picks. Saw Andre Powell get some interceptions too. Can you talk about them?
Well, we got an experienced group. Those are guys that made plays for us when we were making running, making that run for the national championship. So Andre Powell's a guy that sat behind, Javon Morgan, right? Javon Morgan. So now it's his opportunity to make some plays. Extremely number number 2, Tate didn't necessarily make as many plays today, but I was extremely excited with his communication and getting us lined up. You know, Cumberbatch had an interception. I want to say Amari Lee had an interception today, number 19. So, you know, that's another reason why I want to go the good on good, right? So our DBs get a chance to go against the number 1 or number 2 quarterback that we have on our team and, you know, see how they can react against the Gassets and the other players that are the really, really good offensive players that we have.
I have a question. What is your message to Rattler Nation as you conclude the spring game and the spring training?
Well, you know, spring practice is done. You know, I think everyone knows that it's time for us to, you know, hop into the portal and take a look at the portal and take a look at the players that can help us get to that next step. And believe me, you know, there's a lot more players that want to be here at Florida A&M than people know. And our product will be either equal or better than it was last year. So we're going to be a good football team. Believe me, we'll be a really, really good football team. And it's not because of the guys that we have in the portal. It's the guys that we currently have that are still here with us now, right? Will we go into the portal to help our football team get better? Yes, we will. But we also have guys that are in the portal that they're in the portal not because of their dislike of FAMU. They're just in the portal to see what maybe they can get at that Group of 5 or Power 5 level. If it doesn't work out for them, guess where they'll be? They'll be right here back at Florida A&M. So, you know, those are the things that I'm okay with. You know, you have other places where guys get into the portal, they're leaving because of a coach or they don't like it. The guys that are in the portal right now, I speak to them every single day. Their communication is great. I'm with them. I understand them. I'm rooting for them. Coaches are calling me about the guys that are in the portal. I'm giving them the honest truth about all of them. So Rattler Nation, believe it or not, if we don't have them, we're going to still be good because we're going to find somebody to replace them. If they do stay, we're going to still be good. So, hey, the expectations are the expectations. I know I used to hear Coach Simmons say all the time, the standard is the standard. We know that. We understand that. And we'll be ready to play once we play against Norfolk State in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, that's it, man.
We're good, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all be good.
Kendall, let's talk about going through another spring and overall what your thoughts are of the spring.
In the last spring, I don't thank God for, just getting me to this position. But, I feel like we had a great spring, On offense and defense, we've been competing this whole time. We had a couple transfers come in from different schools, some Power 5, some lower schools. But everybody came in competing. We did very well this spring, I believe.
Kendall, something that stuck out this spring game was that the defense knew how to take away the ball. I lost count of how many interceptions was thrown today to the defense. What can I say? You're one of the main guys in the DB room. And I know you don't get many opportunities throwing.
Yeah.
You get your first interception to when it mattered the most last season, the Celebration Bowl. So talk about that, just having guys that just ball hawks around the defense.
Yeah, I feel like DB, we did a great job this spring. I think we probably had at least 7 picks this spring game. So yeah, it means a lot. The guys come in, the meetings, workouts, treatment. We all do it all together. So we talk all the time, take notes. We either go away and just do our own thing. So DB, we had a very good spring.
I guess I got another question.
Okay.
With you being a legacy Rattler coach, y'all come in, y'all got Colzie as the head coach, and he was your position coach for the past 2 seasons since he got here, and now he's the head coach. How has he been as a head coach, through those 14 practices that y'all had during the spring?
Oh, he's been a very, very, very good head coach. He's very hard on when it comes to coming to meetings on time, workouts, everything is time. So if you late, that's on you. But so he very strict. He ain't really playing about nothing. So he on our butt everything we do. He's a very good coach.
Is he any different from being your position coach from the past 2
Oh yeah, definitely. He a lot different. I feel like he's just a lot more strict, because it's a whole team, not just like 5-6 players. So he very hard on everything for sure.
Was he saying anything after some of those interceptions? Obviously, being a defensive-minded guy, kind of love that a little extra.
Oh yeah, he about to do a backflip every time you catch an interception. He go crazy. So he loves takeaways. That's his main thing. He just get the ball. So he very happy about the interceptions.
Talk about your defense this season versus the way you guys finished the year, just disrupting everything everybody else was doing offensively.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Talk about defense in terms of just where you guys are versus last year.
Oh, I feel like, we had a couple great guys leave, but I feel like some guys stepping up, Eric Horn, even Naron Jenkins, them guys stepped up. We had 2 great linebackers this past season, so them guys are stepping up doing what they do. So, like last year, it was me and Eric Smith on the outside. So, we had Maury Lee, Winston Frazier step up doing things the best they can. So I feel like from last year this year, it's a lot of improvement we got to do, but I feel like we're going to get there for sure.
Kendall, just talk about going into the season, always had a target on your back because of the way the team is finished. But this year, just especially, everybody's shooting for the team. What's the mentality to try to fight through that and just make sure the team can stay focused on the Rattlers? The
mentality I feel like we got this season, just repeat, Like last year, we won it all. We're trying to do the same thing this year. I know it's a very big target on our back. Everybody talking about it. Everybody watching us from the transfer portal to everything we got going on. Either good or bad, the target is always on us. So I feel like this season we got to just reload and repeat.
Speaking of reloading and repeating, so what are some of the steps that are necessary for you to do that?
Just do that. Just being consistent, just doing everything we do. Like I said, Coach Colzie is very hard on everything. So this off season, we all plan to come back on the same time. I feel like none of us not gonna go out of town. I'm like we gonna come back early. I think we start summer workouts early. I think May 15th. So we all come back May 15th. Just reload and repeat and just get in there and get back early and doing what we can do best. Thank you.
All right, the Rattler Nation will be looking for great things for Kendall this year. The defensive backfield looks very strong. Coach Colzie, a defensive back himself, should be proud of how his team performed Saturday at the Orange and Green game. And now I'd like to bring on someone who never holds his tongue from the O&G strike zone, Mr. FAMU, I call him, Kelvin Roser. From the O&G strike zone, we call him Mr. FAMU because nobody has FAMU gear like Kelvin Roser. I'm talking about snakeskin cowboy hats, snakeskin boots, snakeskin belts. He's our version of John Witherspoon. He knows how to coordinate his orange and green. Kelvin, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well, and I'm always adding. I shop year round, man. It's hard to find orange and green and everything, but I know all the tricks of the trade.
well, you certainly do, and on Saturday we saw Orange and Green game, and it was kind of an anxious moment for me. I went into it kind of anxious. It's just a lot of change, and you almost kind of feel the worst. But it actually went rather smoothly, and there was actually some exciting and promising things that I saw in the game. Just how'd you feel about the Orange and Green game?
Well, like you, I didn't know what to expect because of the different changes. You have coaches that have left. You have some players in the transfer portal. We had 30-something guys who were seniors or grad students last year. So, you had all that attrition, and then you had some new coaches that are in new positions. So, you didn't know exactly what to expect. You had that championship pedigree, though. You got them rings, and, you still got some leadership, guys who played a lot of downs. So I went in kind of optimistic, but, not having expectations one way or the other, because I know it's going to take some time. And what I left with was I was pleasantly surprised. All right. One, the most impressive thing for me was the dark cloud defense. There's a lot of guys who played a lot of downs that, aren't there right now for many different reasons. And I didn't see any difference. The standard, as Smitty Rock used to say, the standard is the standard. And at least for yesterday in the spring game, those guys lived up to that standard. Specifically, the defensive backs. And it wasn't just one. It was a lot of guys making plays on the ball. And it wasn't that the fact that the quarterbacks were making bad passes. Those guys were just ball hawks, man. They were a couple of those interceptions were extremely athletic, man, and they recovered. They were beaten. They recovered quickly, man. So that was my biggest takeaway. I was really pleased with how the defense looked.
Yeah, and that was one of the question marks, losing Javen Morgan back there at safety and losing Eric Smith at the other corner. You kind of wondered how that defensive back group was going to look. That was one of the groups that had to be remade. You still had Kendall Bowling, But yes, the defensive backs were ball hawks. They were all over the place, and that was a pleasant surprise on the defense. Defensive line, obviously, that's the place that is what I really like about Coach Colzie in post game. He didn't sugarcoat anything about, hey, we got guys in the portal. There was no hiding it. He's faced it up front. He has said before when Gentle Hunt first hinted that he possibly was going into the portal, he began recruiting as if Gentle Hunt wasn't there. And that's going to bode well for him because he has some guys coming in. And with the portal opening up again today, on this Monday, there are going to be other guys that are going to be available. FAMU is a desirable place to be.
That was my second takeaway. I think biggest takeaway from yesterday's game was just the overall numbers of players that were available, right? So I looked at it, and I'm guessing there were between offense and defense, there were probably around 75 players, maybe 80 that were dressed between the offense and the defense. So, of course, our numbers have to get up. We don't have the depth because of some of the things you mentioned. But I tell you, the guys that we do have, they dogs. They
yeah.
They champions, right? They got it in their DNA, outside of those new guys who just coming in and learning that we signed in the early signing period. All those guys have been there. We saw some young pups that they ready now. They ready to step up. Somerset had a nice run, and looked like he's ready, So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Also, we Coach Colzie kind of hinted that he was not going to make a quarterback decision probably in the spring, just because there's a lot of dynamics going on. You got a new quarterback coach, which the players loved. On that interview that we just heard from Kelvin Dean, he mentioned how much improvement he had seen in the quarterbacks in the short period of time that the new quarterbacks coach. So for a running back to be that excited about a quarterbacks coach, that says a lot about what that coach is bringing to the team, to the fact that not only the quarterbacks notice it, but the running backs as well.
So this spring was different from last spring. Last spring, there was very little attrition. All our staff was pretty much in place. We had all those upcoming seniors and grad students. We were a very, very veteran team. So you kind of knew what you had. And so the spring game was kind of more for fun, so that's why everybody, you had the draft and you split teams up and so forth. And we had those numbers. This year is different. You got new coaches that are just getting there, really. And like I say, we got coaches in other positions. So this was more of what I would call a traditional, typical spring, in which you're trying to make sure you emphasize fundamentals. You trying to you see a spring game, you want to make sure guys lining up correctly. They tackle clean. The receivers are catching the ball, and you don't want injuries.
Right.
You really not worried about yardage and touchdowns and all that in the spring game, because it's not a regular game anyway. And so I saw all those things. I saw I saw a foundation that we can build upon, a championship pedigree foundation. So, I'm pleased.
And another thing that Keith and I talked about, probably the surprise. We knew we had Jeremiah Pruitt. We knew we had Kobe Gross, but to see Ja'Cory Jordan out there catching passes, what a change. And that could be a big difference maker because he's long, he's fast, he's agile, he has hands, and he's got a great vertical, which we saw. So a guy that talented, like I said before, in high school, 9 times out of 10, the person that's the quarterback is the best athlete. That's who you make the quarterback. And Ja'Cory has a lot of skills and a lot of upside. And to add him to the receiver core with that height, with that jumping ability, with that speed, I think that's a big win for the Rattlers.
I totally agree. He was my third takeaway from yesterday's game. I hope that gives him confidence both on the field and off the field, because he's just made that transition on the field. So I'm hoping that success is a motivator for him to take care of things and learn the position. You know, he's got a great wide receiver coach and Coach AC. And then hopefully that'll also translate, you know, for younger players and then players who change in position sometimes, you know, having that success when you're successful in one thing kind of translates to everything. So I want to see that growth continue. But let me say this, Vaughn. I saw him as a quarterback when he won the state championship game and at Jacksonville Trinity Christian. So absolutely, he is the best. He was the best athlete on the field. He's a legitimate 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
He takes long strides, but he is fast, and he showed that he had hands. So he could be a incredible weapon, and he could actually be a pro.
I totally agree.
That's his upside, you know.
He does have a strong and a big upside, and he looked comfortable out. He didn't look out of place. He looked comfortable out there, catching passes and catching it in his hands, looking it in. So yeah, that Ja'Cory is a big takeaway that everybody's talking about, and I didn't catch it until the spring game, but wow, it was very impressive to see him out there.
Yeah, and Coach played all the quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks got reps, and it was good to see that. You know, guys putting in the work, and of course, Junior had the best day overall of the quarterbacks. But you know, there was not enough plays and separation to come to any kind of conclusion. At least that's the way I saw it. You know, as a spectator watching it.
I really like how Coach Colzie and the staff broke up and did some 7-on-7. That's a time where you can reduce the injuries, because anytime you got linemen involved, somebody can get rolled up, and so you take them out and still get some reps in there. I thought that added some excitement, and it was just smart under the circumstances to make sure nobody else got hurt, but you can still get reps from the quarterbacks and the receivers and the running backs.
I thought his management of this spring game, given what he had to deal with, and I thought it was masterful. I totally agree with you. You know, offense versus defense, because you got limited numbers, it's particularly in certain positions, D-line, linebacker specifically, and you got a lot of moving parts, transfers, new coaches, etc. So yeah, to have offense versus defense, ones versus ones, though, I love that part of it. And then to break up the game, with some 7-on-7s. You had a special team session. Then you had the spring camp awards. And
right.
A lot of people were very interested in some of the names that were named as best for the spring at certain positions.
Yeah, that was a great touch to it, because what it does is it puts emphasis that guys shouldn't be coasting through the spring, that it has some value to it, and have your name called and go out on the field and be presented an award with the president, athletic director out there. I think that going forward, that ceremony is going to get guys to actually work hard in the spring, because they're not only striving for your position, but that recognition.
Vaughn, something that was, that stood out to me about yesterday's game also, there wasn't a lot of penalties.
There weren't.
The guys lined up correctly. It was pretty clean, which for me shows that this team has discipline. And that is a very good sign this early to have that few penalties and that clean of a game.
Yes, I did. I was impressed by that. There wasn't a lot of laundry out there, and it was a full officials crew, maybe even more. Oftentimes in spring games, you have even more officials out there than normal, because they're actually using it for training themselves. So they it had to be like 11 officials out there. I mean, I don't know how many are in the regular game, but it had to be like 11 officials out there covering every angle. So Yeah, it was a clean game. Now, something else I was surprised about. We know Trey Will Hoyt is the punter. He is the guy. Long snappers, good long snappers. Kickoff, Mike Smith from McClay is just solid. Field goals. I saw a battle brewing there, field goals, because Gillis has competition from the transfer from Florida
Larson.
State University.
Yeah.
Larson gets the ball up so fast. And, we had some issues with blocks. But as fast as he gets that ball up, you dream of having competition at every position. But to have that two good of kickers in one camp is really amazing.
Iron sharpens iron. And so I love competition, and I love people who don't who embrace competition. So yeah, I had got, word that Larson was, he got a pretty good leg too. He got some power with it. So he didn't disappoint, and we won the championship last year off of defense and special teams.
Right.
We could lay our head on that every game, regardless what happened on offense. And so in the spring game to have that and see that that's still there, man, it's positive, because in everybody's mind, the coaches talk about it, the players talk about it, and of course us Rattler fans gonna talk about it. It's all about running it back. We
Yeah.
fully expect to be in the running to win the SWAC and the national championship at the Celebration Bowl again. So yesterday was a good start.
Yeah, and what a spring game. The weather was absolutely phenomenal. It was a clear day. Marching 100 was wide open the whole game. The cheerleaders were there. Lots of students. It was really a great spring game. And then tailgating went on, and it just went on and on and on. We actually had conversations with some guys from Southern who came over, and we were talking about old days of Billy Joe, and they were talking about Earl Holmes and Jamie Nails. It was a great HBCU environment, and the tailgating around there is a big part of college football, especially HBCU football. So to see all of that come together, it really was a very good spring game.
Nice attendance. We only had one side. Everybody was on the east side, and I would venture to say, number wise, it was somewhere at least around 3,000 to 4,000, which is a nice solid number, right? And then charging $15 for entrance, that generated some revenue, for much needed revenue for the athletic department. They also were selling jerseys, and I made sure to retweet, and I sent some people over that way. And I talked with the equipment manager, and I think they did pretty well with that. And there are people still who are interested in buying those jerseys, because some of them missed out. Either they weren't here, or they found out about it too late. So I know there's going to be something opening up where people can still purchase them, because they do have inventory remaining.
Yeah, I thought that was good, because you always wonder what to do with those old jerseys and to make some revenue, much needed. In an athletic department, you and I both know you got to make every dime you can make at every turn. Yeah. And so what are your thoughts on, today is Monday and the transfer portal is open, and there will be some guys possibly leaving. But just like Coach Colzie said in his post game, they're not empty slots, because people are already ringing his phone. So this is just a new normal we got to get used to.
Absolutely. I noticed some guys, right? I noticed the transfer wide receiver from Alabama A&M who played at Wakulla, now here on our squad. I know of some other guys who are on the sidelines or have already talked with the staff. Let me first say that we love the guys who are in the transfer portal, and the guys who may go into the transfer portal. We support you. We love you. We want you to come back and run it back. But if you choose that, another direction is your path right now, we still love you. You still Rattlers, you know. So I want to get that out of the way. You know, we want to make sure we support Rattlers.
Yes.
And then, but secondly, it's a lot of kids, and it's over 1,000 kids in the transfer portal. So absolutely, transfer portal may take away, but it's also gonna give back. So I hope that, you know, those kids, you know, when you go in the transfer portal, I hope that we go in there, you know, when you choose to go in there, that either you have a place already destined for you, or that, you know, there's some other things, extenuating circumstances why you choose to go in there. Because I don't want no kid to get stuck in that transfer portal. And a lot of the kids who are in the portal can actually play. They're good players. So, you know, we wish them the best. But I know, Coach, you know, we had Jordan Moore on the show last Wednesday. And yes, the coaches are they have a plan in place. So I'm not worried, Rattler Nation. We're gonna be just fine.
All right, Kelvin, I appreciate your time. What are you looking for the team to shore up between now and when fall camp starts?
By far, we got to get the numbers up, and specifically, definitely D-line, which is kind of represented. I think we got like 8 to 10 offers out already with JUCOs and transfers and so forth. So D-line depth, linebacker depth. I imagine they'll probably look at receivers a little bit. You can never turn away a good O-line, but, you know, a lot of our O-line came back. So I think we'll be looking for mostly D linemen, linebackers, and receivers, because the running back room is filled. The quarterback room is filled at this point. Now, we'll see who jumps into the transfer portal. But, yeah, pass rushers, that kind of thing.
Oh, and another thing before we go, I got to mention the transfer quarterback from North Carolina A&T. Hooker looks like he has a great skill set. From what we saw from him, you know, it was limited action, you know, kid just coming into the system, but it'll be interesting to see his improvement between the spring and the fall as well.
Bloodlines, man. You look at who his daddy is, who his brother is, you know it's in his bloodlines. You know he's probably cerebral, because everybody in his family has played the quarterback position and played it at a high level, actually.
Right.
And our athletics. So it doesn't surprise me that he has something to develop, something to work with. And yeah, it will be interesting to see his development.
All right. Here's Kelvin Roser from ONG Strike Zone. The real Mr. They call me Mr. FAMU, but they haven't seen you in one of your outfits yet, and they wouldn't call me that. They'd call you Mr. FAMU. Kelvin Roser, ONG Strike Zone, Wednesday nights on YouTube. Catch them there. And coverage of the FAMU spring game, orange and green game, continues here on HBCU Game Day right after this.
You are watching HBCU Game Day.
All right, I guess you guys got the spring game underway, and how did it feel to compete at an extra high level today?
It felt good to, you know, get back out there with my teammates, you know, work on some small things that we've been kind of messing up on during practice, but also to show us in a game scheme of things what we need to fix and actually correct before we come to August.
Yeah, having the adjustments of Coach Colzie taking over his first spring game, can you just talk us through a little bit about what it was like having Colzie lead the way out there today?
It was smooth. It was just a lot different knowing, like, okay, the offense is more, you know, on their own this year with Coach Henry and the other coaches, other than having the head coach on our side. So it's just a little different having a defensive-minded head coach, but I think the scrimmages and stuff is pretty good.
Talk about the way the game was set up. We'd seen it was just one offense against one defense versus how you guys did it in the past. How did that feel for you guys out there in more or less a real game situation?
I mean, it felt good. You know, like the coach is showing they care about us a little bit, trying to keep us from being injured so we can survive and make it to the season, while also trying to get some more depth in the locker room, key positions that we're lacking in. So, I mean, it felt good. You know, go get your reps in, show the people what you can do, and then take a break, let the others get an opportunity to show what they can do also, like the younger guys that we have.
Kelvin, does it seem like it's different this year, you know, being the 2023 HBCU National Championships, like you got a target on your back?
I mean, I could say last year we had this same target. Like, we was #1 off the rip. They had us predicted to win everything. So it's the same target, man. And we knew what to expect coming into this offseason. So we just got to increase our workload 10 times this offseason so that when the hard times come, we'll be ready.
Well, during the offseason, you were very vocal about Coach Colzie coming in and being the head coach. I know y'all didn't get to get that 15 practice in because of the weather, but 14 practices, your first 14 practices with him as the head coach. How has the transition been with him leading the locker room and you know, just how has he had the command of the locker room?
He's got total command. You know, everybody's listening, paying attention to the details, small details that he wants, and also like just far as campus-wise, meal-wise, and helping the players out. I can see us going in the right direction. So I think it's going to be really good in the near future and actually coming up real soon.
So what's your focus next between now and the fall?
Coming together as a team. You know, we need to be close. The closest team is usually the one that's going to come out on top. The team that works the hardest together, you know what I'm saying, that can connect and have good chemistry. So I just think this offseason we need to build another brotherhood like we had last year. Like, we was a real close team. So I feel like it's a lot of new people, new faces. We just got to get that bond back.
And of course, you're one of the leaders of the offense, and I know y'all are in the midst of trying to figure out who's going to be the quarterback. You've had a lot of opportunity to work with both of them. What has been your assessment on how the quarterbacks perform today?
I like the quarterbacks. You know, it's a difference between kind of Junior and Richardson. But Richardson trying to learn the new plays, a whole new playbook, and Junior more of a seasoned vet in the playbook. So, of course, it's a little bit smoother when I'm running with him. But I think all in all, like, the quarterback room since Coach Burris has got hired has been on a straight, steady, up forward path.
All right, it's been a great day on this Monday, sharing the live broadcast of the FAMU Spring Orange and Green game, a wrap-up. Coach Colzie, under his first leadership of the FAMU Rattler football team after being named head coach, replacing Willie Simmons, who is now at Duke University. Transfer portal has opened today, so by the time this broadcast is dry, we may get more information, but you know, speaking to Coach Colzie, and he understands that, and he is navigating that. Before we leave, I want to take you out of here with a rewind. Let's look back at FAMU's win at the 2023 Cricket Celebration Bowl.
Today, a new champion rose. It is the Florida A&M Rattlers, who now claim the Celebration Bowl title after taking down the Howard Bison 30-26 in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Coach Willie Simmons said that the message to the team all season long was that it was our time, and they certainly proved it today.
Feels amazing. Again, just so thankful for these young men, for what they've encountered, what they've endured, just the blood, sweat, the tears. Ever since we put this team together in August, they've done everything we've asked, and today's a culmination of 5 months of just grinding it out, sacrificing, and I told them, just give me 5 months, and on December 17th, you can blow it out. It's time to blow it out.
The SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, Isaiah Major, lived up to his name today. He made a lot of major plays, but he made the biggest one late in the fourth quarter. He got the game-winning interception to seal the win for his Rattlers.
It's just a blessing. I try to go in it to every day with the same state of mind and just keep going day in and day out.
The offense broke loose in the fourth quarter. What was working so late in the game?
Yeah, I just think that, you know, we were calling the plays we were executing the plays that Coach called, and he was being aggressive, and you know, that's the type of offense we are. We're an aggressive offense, and we're going to go out and make plays, and we did.
The Rattlers take the win, and they hold the title of the HBCU National Champions. Congratulations to them. This wraps up another great football season with HBCU Game Day. I am Simone Stanley, signing off from Mercedes-Benz Stadium.